What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a video about some of the games that I wish I could play for another run, another playthrough, just some more time in general perhaps. But the reason I wanted to make this video is because of a question I get, honestly, probably a couple times a day most of the time, which is usually some variation of like, do I have a gaming backlog? Do I play games just for me? I imagine you get the idea, and I mean the simple answer there is yes, but more often than not, it usually comes down to time. Though let me preface this by saying that this is an incredible job, this is an incredible thing to get to do for a living, and this is in no way a complaint, more just a statement of fact, really. So, the thing about playing and reviewing all of these games and trying to keep up with them is that ultimately you have to set priorities, and when you want to play through something or you get done with something but you'd like to play it some more but there's no practical reason to keep doing so, sometimes you just simply have to move on. And I experience that quite a bit, mostly because I wouldn't really say that I have a gaming backlog at this point. There are plenty of games that I plan on playing or returning to or eventually getting around to covering in some form or fashion, which includes plenty of old titles, and there is a literal list of those games, mind you, and I suppose if you wanted to, you could call that a backlog. But really, those are just games that I want to cover and kind of learn about more generally. You see, roughly the first year or so after doing this full time, I spent that entire kind of time period there going through the games I personally wanted to play through the most because I had not been able to play them previously, which is what I had considered my backlog kind of being cleared out. And so what I'm left with these days are games that I want to return to for one reason or another. In some cases, just to refresh my memory, others just because I want to play them more than I did. I think there's more fun to be gleaned out of them, or there's just something relevant upcoming that I might want to make a video about, even if the timing isn't quite right. So all of that is kind of what I had in mind here. But the last thing I want to mention before we dive fully into this is that I'm actually not really the kind of person who wants to play any game forever. If anything, I actually think that idea and things being designed around that goal tends to cause more problems than anything else, because I think probably the way to get the most out of gaming is to have a robust set of experiences rather than attempt to play one game and one game only for all of time, even if that is sort of a mindset we can often get into. But with no further ado, here are some games that I'm kind of done with but would like to play more of for one reason or another. Starting with probably the easiest and most obvious one, which is in fact The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, specifically the Oblivion Remastered version that dropped earlier this year, because while I played a ton of it right as it released and had a bunch of fun with it so I could make some videos about it, if you know anything about me at all and you've watched either of my Oblivion reviews, many of the videos in which I've talked about it, I love Oblivion. Means the world to me, and I would love to find some time to sit down and play this remastered version that doesn't come with so much baggage of my previous experiences, that would also just allow me to kind of explore some of that old stuff that I remember doing as a teenager. For example, like there's a bunch of old builds I remember playing through that I would like to sit down and try to recreate in this new version. There's also other stuff I want to try in this new version, just kind of testing the limits of what's possible, that kind of thing, which would admittedly just allow me to relive some of the fun I used to have with this game. But if anything, I'd also like to see if my son's into it. He's kind of young for it, to be honest with you. He's just 6 years old, but whether it's now or in the future, my hope is I can get him to sit down and play this with me at some point. Though I do imagine that's probably going to be at least a few years off. Either way, though, Oblivion Remastered is just really a game that I want to sit down and make more time for, but unfortunately, the constant drone of new releases means I have a million other things to do, and while I could certainly make a video out of some of those experiences, that's kind of not really what I'm aiming for. I think turning that experience into work would actually kind of kill the reason I want to go back and play it, so I'm just simply not inclined to do that. We'll see what happens, though. I imagine I will be making time for it at some point. It's still installed on my PC. I even have a couple characters ready to go, so I will get there eventually. But speaking of characters ready to go, another game I would like to play more of is actually Daggerfall. Keeping with the Elder Scrolls theme here, so obviously a very different period in time, Daggerfall is a game that offers an incredibly unique experience even among this genre. There is really to this day nothing quite like what Daggerfall is and represents, and while that might change in the future, because as I'm sure someone in the comments will mention, we are looking forward to Wayward Realms from Once Lost Games, which by the way, rest in peace Julian LeFay. But ultimately, I also covered Daggerfall earlier this year, which was my first time playing through the whole thing. I had played it quite a bit here and there previously, but I'd never actually gotten through the whole story because it's honestly a little convoluted. But there is one thing I really, really love about Daggerfall, and it's one of the reasons I'm constantly trying to find a reason to go back and play it just in short bursts, and that is the character creator, actually. Daggerfall has a tremendous character creator that lets you get so incredibly granular with the weaknesses and strength of an individual character that honestly, most games today from an RPG standpoint still can't keep up with it. Like, yeah, obviously they look better, they've moved away from like the paper doll thing in menus, but in terms of accurately representing what a character can be and how they can interact with the world, Daggerfall's character creator is crazy. And for that reason, part of me just really wants to take like a day or two and sit down and just keep like making characters in short bursts and just playing them for a couple hours, kind of seeing what that's like, and then ditching them, starting up another one, and just kind of seeing what I can get away with and messing around with kind of different types of characters. And all of that works purely because of what Daggerfall brings to the table in terms of customization and gameplay systems. So while I certainly don't want to attach too many expectations and hopes and dreams onto Wayward Realms, that is, if anything, like the one feeling that I'm hoping that they manage to recreate there. Which brings us to our third entry. This one is actually Avowed. Avowed, of course, being Obsidian's latest entry into the world of Eora, which is one of my favorite fantasy settings. Covered the first two Pillars games quite a bit, made all sorts of lore videos just recently this year, actually. My run for the Ultimate in Deadfire was in fact confirmed and officially recognized, so it's safe to say, again, I love the world of Eora. Now, Avowed, being a big shift in genre, is obviously going to rub some people the wrong way. And yeah, sure, I would obviously love Pillars of Eternity 3 more than anything else, but that doesn't change the fact that Avowed is fun to play. Combat's fun, it's enjoyable to run around, experiencing all these little bits of lore around the Living Lands, which had previously gone unrealized, but to see all that kind of rendered out and everything makes for a really fun place to simply explore and then dive into the lore of some of those places, and all of the lore that got added into the world of Eora with Avowed as an entry into the franchise makes for a lot of stuff that I personally love and care a lot about. And while I've already spent quite a lot of time playing Avowed, I would enjoy playing it more, especially with some of its recent patches, adding like new abilities to some of the skill trees, alongside adding things like new unique weapons and stuff. And I kind of just want to play around with those and see what I can do build-wise and whatnot. And I may very well try to make time for this because they have at least one more big planned update that's supposed to bring like new game plus, photo mode, a new weapon type, and some appearance stuff as well. That's supposed to be slated for sometime this fall, and I may very well take that time to jump back in and try to experience some of that stuff, since it will be adding even more of the things I already want to try out. But simply put, I love the world of Eora. I want to spend some more time there and check some of this stuff they've been adding to the game since launch in like a full playthrough, as an example. Speaking of Obsidian, though, another entry from them, and this one is a little more topical, I would say, perhaps, than the others, which is, in fact, Fallout New Vegas. If you're sitting there watching and wondering if this is purely because of the Fallout Season 2 TV show announcement and, upcoming date and everything in December, you would absolutely be correct. I mean, simply put, Fallout New Vegas is obviously a well-loved and tremendous game for a lot of people, and while I am very on the record about not being head over heels for the Fallout universe as many other people are, I do still in fact enjoy it, but I have not played New Vegas since I think like 2021, 2022, like it's been a minute, and what I would like to do is jump back into it, kind of just get some of the details as I remember them before we head into the TV show proper this December, because obviously season 2 is taking place very directly in New Vegas, and I feel like if I want to get the most out of watching that, which I'm obviously going to do, it would be awesome to try to play New Vegas sometime probably at the start of December, if I'm being honest, because that's when I'll likely have time to actually do it. as kind of counterintuitively, at least as a games reviewer specifically, December's usually pretty slow. There's not much going on. Like, there's a lot of videos to be made, a lot of things to cover, a lot of end-of-year lists and stuff to do, but in terms of actually playing games, like, nothing's really releasing in December all that often. So I can easily make time to play other stuff, and I will likely do that with New Vegas, just so I can give myself a sort of a refresh on what that looks like, and I may decide to make a video about that experience. Not sure if I will bother or not, but it's something I've been wanting to make time for, and yeah, I'm as prone to that kind of thing as anybody else is, and it is entirely because I want to take a look at it with fresh eyes ahead of that release. Though that does bring us to our final entry, which is certainly something a little bit different, as it is none other than Titan Quest II. This is different for a few reasons, both in terms of genre, developer, and also the fact that it's actually in early access right now. Titan Quest II launched into early access just a little while back at the very beginning of August, I believe. But if you watch the channel a bunch, you know that I love a good ARPG, and honestly, Titan Quest II is just doing everything I love about these games. You've got a single-player offline mode, you got a bunch of skills you can mix and match and push together and stuff. There's really fun itemization, the combat's fun, and while I already made a video talking about that early access launch release, and I'm obviously going to play this one more simply because of the fact that I plan on covering its updates throughout early access and then of course its initial launch, I have found myself lately just really wanting to sit down and play more of this game and kind of just smash through things with its combat system. I love the art style, the time period, and I am incredibly excited for the future updates. I am really looking forward to them adding new masteries just to see kind of how you can mix and match that stuff. I'm hoping when they add those, they also add the ability to do things like respec perhaps, so you can kind of more easily test those out without doing a full run, because that's obviously a little time consuming, and as is the point of this video, I don't always have all the time in the world. But more than anything, I've just been looking forward to the updates that I know are coming for this game, just so I will have a more proper excuse to continue playing it outside of all the work I have to get done, as it's a little difficult to justify the time investment otherwise, but man do I want to play more of it. Ultimately though, that is going to be where we start to wrap up this particular video, so if you've ever found yourself wondering if there's any games that I would like to play more of, want to go back to, make more time for, that kind of thing, I think this probably gives you a pretty good general idea of what's going on there. But ultimately, I have an awesome job. I get to play vastly more new games than most people ever will, and quite possibly would ever want to be honest. But even still, there are certainly games that I wish I could take a little more time to enjoy for one reason or another. Otherwise though, certainly hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, by all means, like, comment, subscribe, which of course means to let me know how you feel about all this down in the comments section below, or simply perhaps games you wish you could make more time for, as this is hardly a unique problem to game reviewers. I certainly had plenty of games that I wanted to play more of when I had my salaried job, but probably more of just a traditional backlog in that sense. Either way though, thank you so much for watching. I truly do appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.